Hi everyone, welcome to this class where we are going to be looking at balancing chemical equations. In this class, we are going to be focused on the powerful ABCD method. So this is a very powerful method where we'll use some mathematical tricks to easily balance any chemical equation. So you should definitely learn this powerful method, because if hit and trial or the table method is not working, you can go for this ABCD method and solve any balancing of chemical equations. So let's dive right into it. Keep your pen and paper ready. Let's get started. Now, before we begin, I just want to say, do check out the other courses on our website. We have physics, chemistry, biology and maths for CBSE class 8, 9 and 10. So guys, if you haven't taken the other courses, what are you waiting for? Do take them and do share it with your friends. For the ICSE students, we have physics, chemistry, biology and maths courses for classes 8, 9 and 10. And if you want to learn coding, we have Java coding, we have Python programming. Both are great languages to learn computer coding. And we have physics and chemistry for the Cambridge IGCSE, which is the international board. So do share out our courses with your friends. Make sure you have subscribed to our YouTube channel. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram. So stay connected with Manocha Academy and keep learning. So remember last time we talked about why do we balance chemical equations? For the law of conservation of mass, to satisfy the law of conservation of mass. And last time we had looked at table method and hit and trial method. In this video, we are going to be focused on the super powerful ABCD method. So this is what we are going to focus in today's class. So let's learn the ABCD method, which is a very powerful method and can help you balance even complicated equations. So what is the ABCD method? Looks like, we are back to nursery or kindergarten school and saying A, B, C, D, E. But let's see what it is. So in the ABCD method, you're going to be using coefficients. A, B, C, D. You're going to put that into your equation. What is the meaning of coefficients? Multipliers. So for example, if you have an equation like this, ammonia plus O2 gives NO plus H2O, you start putting your coefficients from the left, that is from the reactants. So you can say A times ammonia plus B times oxygen, C times NO and D times water. If you have another fifth compound here, you will put E, sixth compound F, and so on. So that is why now you can see the name is called ABCD method, where you are putting these labels over here. Now obviously you don't know the value of ABCD. That is what you have to work out so that finally your equation will be balanced. So that is why we say we are using coefficients ABCD. For each element, write the equation for the coefficients. So we'll be seeing how that works. That for every element, just like in the table method, remember we were doing for every element, we were counting the atoms on the left and right. Same over here, except the counting will now include coefficients that you have artificially put into the equation, your A, B, C, D. So these are like our variables X, Y, Z that we need to find. Find coefficient that occurs the maximum number of times and set that coefficient to be 1. Because finally we have to solve the values of the coefficient. So you can assume any one of the coefficients to be 1. And usually we take the coefficient that occurs the maximum number of times. So don't worry if you are not understanding this method. We'll see it with a practical example. You solve these coefficients, that is these ABCD values, and you will get your balanced equation. Of course, you might end up again with fractions, like the method we did in hit and trial with fractions. So you can eliminate the fraction simply by multiplying with the LCM of the denominator, so that all the denominators cancel off. Okay, so let's understand this ABCD method in a practical way by applying it. So let's say you have been given this equation. Ammonia plus oxygen gives nitrogen monoxide or nitric oxide plus water. So let's say we did hit and trial, we did table or hit and trial and it wasn't working. Okay, or let's say hit and trial didn't work. Usually it's recommended to try that one first. Suppose it gets complicated, go for ABCD method. So what is the first step? First step is put coefficients into the equations. Use means put those coefficients. So let's do that, guys. We are going to put the coefficients here. A times ammonia plus B times oxygen plus C times NO plus D times H2O. Please don't use X, Y, Z, because X, Y, Z, then what do you do? A. So do it A, B, C, D, E. This is the standard, so that you get as many letters from the starting. Okay. So here we are using only 4 variables because we have 4 compounds or 4 substances. It can be compound or element. 4 things in this equation, 4 substances. Okay. Now, what you need to do is, for each element, write the equation for the coefficients. So look at this carefully. For every element, we need to form an equation. What is the meaning of that equation? Let me show you. So who are the elements here first? The elements in this equation are nitrogen, hydrogen and oxygen. Now let's form our equation. What is the equation going to be here? How many nitrogen atoms? So let's start with nitrogen. How many nitrogen atoms are there on the left side of this equation? Can you guys tell me? Is it only one nitrogen atom? How many nitrogen atoms are there? There's one nitrogen atom in ammonia, but you multiplied it by A. You have put that multiplier, the coefficient. So how many nitrogen atoms? A times 1, A. A is the answer. So for nitrogen, I can say 1A or simply A. So on the left, we have A. On the right, how many nitrogen atoms do you have? So we can say number of nitrogen atoms on the left will equal to the number of nitrogen atoms on the right. How many are there on the right? There's one nitrogen here, there's nothing here. So 1 times C. So we are getting the equation A equal to C. Is this clear? So this we have done for the first element, as simple as that. What are we doing? Because in balancing, finally, what do we want to balance? The number of atoms on the left hand side equals to the number of atoms on the right hand side for each and every element. So very simple concept. We are just applying it for every element with the coefficients that we have put. So for nitrogen, we have got the equation A equal to C. Done. Till now we are done. So now go to the next element, hydrogen. How many hydrogen atoms on the left side? So you can say ammonia has 3 hydrogen times A. So we have 3A hydrogen on the left. How many hydrogen on the right? Water has 2 hydrogens, but there is a multiplier by D. So it's going to be 2 times D, 2D. So we have 3A equal to 2D. What do we have for oxygen? O2 times B. So oxygen, there are 2B atoms of oxygen on the left. How many on the right, guys? C times 1. C times 1. So is that it? Is that correct? But there is oxygen in water also. 1 times D. So it is having C plus D. So be careful, on the right there is C plus D. So can you see these are the 3 equations we have got based on the number of atoms of each and every element. Is this clear till here? So this is the first step and you must do your counting very carefully, otherwise if your equations are wrong, everything will go wrong. Now we need to find the value of the find the coefficient that occurs the maximum number of times and you let that coefficient be A. Actually you can set any of your coefficients, that ABCD, to be equal to 1. So you can set any of the coefficients to be equal to 1. But usually we take the one that occurs maximum number of times because it will make our calculations easy. So the logic of this step is, rather than randomly selecting A as 1, B as 1, setting any of them as 1, you select the one that occurs the maximum number of times. Now in these equations, which coefficient occurs the maximum number of times? Let's take a look. A occurs 2 times. Okay. So if we take a look here, the coefficient A occurs 2 times. The coefficient B occurs in all these equations only once. Coefficient C occurs 2 times. Coefficient D occurs 2. D also occurs 2 times. So there is no clear winner here because A, C, D, they are all occurring 2 times. So you can take any one of these guys as 1. Do not take B as 1. Even if you take it as 1, you'll get the answer, but it will make calculations a bit difficult. Okay. So which one do you want to take? Let's take A as 1. Since A, C and D are both, all 3 guys are occurring 2 times. So let's take A as 1. So let's write that down. Let A equal to 1. Now if A is 1, that means we are assuming the value of A. What is the value of C going to be? C is equal to A. So if A is 1, we can say therefore C is 1 using the first equation. Clear? Now can you guys find out the value of, so we basically are solving these equations. So once you have set the one value, one coefficient, you need to solve for the other coefficients. So A and C, we have found the answer. Now let's try to find D using this equation, 3A equals 2D. So please try it. So we have 3A equal to 2D, or 3 times 1 equals 2 times D. I'm just substituting A as 1. So what is D going to be? 3 divided by 2. D is 3 by 2. We have got the value of D also. So A is done, C is done, D is done. All we have to do is B. For B, let's use the last equation. 2B equals C plus D. So let's use that. 2B equal to C plus D. So it's just like solving mathematical equations. So we have changed our chemistry question into some maths equations. That's all for ABCD method. So what we are doing here, 2B, C I'll substitute it as 1, D as 3 by 2. So 2B is, if you take the LCM, you're getting a 2 plus 3 here. So 5 by 2 and divided by 2 again. So B is going to be 5 by 4. So please check, are you guys all getting this? So see, finally based on the solution, we have got A equal to 1, C equal to 1, D is 3 by 2 and B is 5 by 4. So that's great because we have solved all our coefficients A, B, C and D. This is what the ABCD method said. Solve the coefficients means solve the equations for the values of A, B, C and D. The last step is when you put them into your equation, you need to remove the fractions because chemistry teachers do not want to see fractions in the balanced equation. So now let's write our equation with these coefficients. So based on our answer, we have got 1 times ammonia. So I'm just going to write NH3 plus B times oxygen. B is 5 by 4. So 5 by 4 O2 is giving me C times NO. So C is 1. So NO and D is 3 by 2. 3 by 2 water. But you can see I have these fractions 5 by 4 and 3 by 2. If I want to get rid of all the denominators, obviously I will multiply by 4 so that this 4 will cancel and 2 will also get cancelled with that 4. So please multiply this entire thing by 4. So what is the final answer we are getting? So we are finally getting 4 ammonia plus 5 oxygen because the 5 by 4 times 4, the 4 will cancel. So plus 5 oxygen is going to give me 4 NO and 3 by 2 times 4. So 2 and 4 will give me 2. So 6. So this is our final answer. And please check if it's right. You can easily check. Nitrogen 4, 4 on the left, 4 on the right. Hydrogen 4 times 3, 12. 6 times 2, 12. Working. Oxygen 5 times 2, 10. 4 oxygen plus 6 oxygen, 4 plus 6, 10. So great, we have balanced our equation and you can see there is no common factor. 4, 5, 4 and 6. There is no common factor between the coefficients. So we have got the answer. So in summary, what did we do? ABCD method is very simple. Only you have to solve your equations carefully. So what did we do here? We just put the coefficients A, B, C and D. Then for every element, we made this table. So see, we made this equations or this kind of table for every element for nitrogen, hydrogen, oxygen. We counted the atoms on the left and right and expressed it in terms of the coefficients. Then we counted which coefficient occurs the maximum number of times. You saw A occurs the maximum number of times and C and D also. So we said let A, or you can take any one of them, we said let A equal to 1. So A is 1, C is 1. After that you solve the others, you got D and B. You plug in the values, but please remember you need to remove the fractions. We removed the fractions by multiplying by 4 and we have got to the answer magically using the ABCD method. So let's try another example again with ABCD method. So we have been given our equation over here. Please take a look at this equation. Everybody pick up your pen and paper, write down this equation. What was the first step? Put in the coefficients starting from the first substance. So remember the first step is put down the coefficients A, B, C and D or E, F, how many ever you have. So let's put the coefficients here. A ammonia, B chlorine, C nitrogen times D ammonium chloride. Okay, just simple, put down those things. Now what is the second step? For each and every element, write the equation, counting the atoms on the left and the right. So who are the elements involved here? You can see the elements are nitrogen, hydrogen and chlorine. Please note, break it down into its elements. Do not make a table of ammonia and chlorine. Every element, nitrogen, hydrogen, chlorine. Now you know number of atoms of each element on left and right should be equal. So let's put that down. So how many nitrogen atoms you have on the left? You can see on the left we have A times 1, so A atoms. How many on the right side? 2 times C, but don't forget this nitrogen friend, D times 1, because this is N1 times D, right? So it is going to be A equals 2C plus D. All of you can see this, 2C plus D, clear? Next one, hydrogen, 3 times A, so 3A here, and on the right we have 4 times D, 4D. So 3A equals 4D for hydrogen. For chlorine, how many chlorine on the left side? 2 times B. Okay. First look at the individual element, means the compound, and then with the multiplier. So 2B. On the right, how many chlorine do we have? 1 in ammonium chloride. Don't forget the multiplier, times D. So 2B equals D. So see, we have formed our equations. All the equations are ready. So what is the next step? Find the coefficient that occurs the maximum number of times and let that coefficient be 1. So check, how many times does each coefficient occur? A, you can see, occurs once, 2 times. So A occurs 2 times. B occurs once. C occurs only once. D occurs 1, 2, 3 times. So who is the winner here in these coefficients? Clearly it's going to be D. D is winning. He is occurring the maximum number of times. So I am going to take D equal to 1 because this makes calculations easy. So we are going to say let D equal to 1. Clear? So the coefficient that occurs the maximum number of times in all the equations, take it to be 1. Now you start solving, starting with the easiest. If D is 1, we can easily solve the value of B here. 2B equals D. Whichever one is easy, you do it first. So if we say 2B equal to D, 2B is 1. So B is equal to half. We have solved the value of B. Same with 3A equals 4D. So let's look at that one. 3A equals 4D. So 3A equals 4. A is 4 by 3. Again, we are done. The last guy to solve is C. So for that, we'll have to use the first equation where C is there. So let's use the values. We have A equals 2C plus D. Now start putting in the values. What is the value of A we have found? A is 4 by 3. So 4 by 3 equals 2 times C. We have to find C. D is 1. How do you solve this equation? It's a linear equation, simple. Just solve it. 4 by 3. Bring the minus 1 over here. So we are basically getting 4 by 3 minus 1 is 2C. Please take the LCM. So 4 minus 3 is 2C. So C we are finally getting 1 by 6. All of you have got this? C is finally 1 by 6 here. So see, we have solved all the equations, all the coefficients, sorry. So D is 1, B is half, A is 4 by 3 and C is 1 by 6. So that's it. Now you have solved all the coefficients, just plug in into the equation, but remember you'll have to remove the fractions. So what is our answer going to be? So first let's plug in the coefficients. So A, so we have basically 4 by 3 ammonia plus B chlorine. B is half chlorine. C N2, C is 1 by 6. 1 by 6 nitrogen plus D ammonium chloride, D is 1. So this final equation is actually balanced, but the problem is it is having fractions. So how do you get rid of the fractions? You have to multiply out with you have to remove the denominators. So who are our denominators? This one is nice, 1, but this is 6, 2 and 3. So to get rid of the fractions, you have to multiply with the LCM of the denominators. So what is the LCM of 3, 2 and 6? 6. So just multiply the whole equation by 6, which means each and every coefficient by 6. Okay. So everybody multiply the whole equation by 6 to get rid of the fractions. So what is the answer you're going to get? 4 by 3 times 6. So 3 and 6 will cancel. So this will give you 2. 2 times 4, 8 ammonia. 6 times half, 3. So this is going to be 3. 1 6 times 6, 1. So this guy is gone. And this will become 6 ammonium chloride. See, we multiplied the entire thing by 6 to get this. The best part about balancing, you can check your answer. See, 8 nitrogen here, 2 plus 6, 8 nitrogen. 8 times 3, 24 hydrogen. 6 times 4, 24 hydrogen. 3 times 2, 6 chlorine. 6 times 1, 6 chlorine. Balanced. So can you see it works like magic? Even these complicated equations, 8 ammonia, 3 chlorine, N2, 6 NH4Cl, we just converted our whole chemistry question into a maths question. So of course solving this maths equation takes time, but it is much faster than continuously trying hit and trial and still getting stuck. So because here the solution will come, you just have to patiently solve those equations and just plug in the answer and remove the fractions. Done. Let's try this one. Sulfur plus HNO3, that's nitric acid, gives sulfuric acid, water, nitrogen dioxide. Again with ABCD method. So once again, the first step, remember what is the first step? Just put ABCD. So we'll put A here, B here, C here, D here. And what should we do for the last guy? It's not only ABCD, it's ABCD, E, F, G, H, whatever. So put E. For nitrogen dioxide, very good. Put E coefficient. So your coefficients are ready. Now what you have to do? Write down all the elements. So clearly write down the elements and now equate the number of atoms on the left equal to the right. That's all. That will form your equations. So what are my elements here? Start from the left. You have sulfur, you have hydrogen, you have nitrogen, and you have oxygen. So there are 4 elements in our equation. Okay. Now start plugging in the equations. So sulfur, there are A atoms on the left. How many on the right? 1 times C. Rest doesn't have any sulfur. So A equals C. Hydrogen, how many atoms? B on the right, left. How many on the right? We have 2 times C plus 2 times D. Do your counting carefully. So 2C plus 2D. And please check my equations in case I am making some mistake. Counting must be done very carefully. So 2C plus 2D. Next one, nitrogen. We have a B nitrogen here. And how many nitrogen on the right? So E nitrogen. E times 1. So B equal to E. Oxygen, how many on the left? 3 times B. How many on the right? So 4 times C, 4C. Then we have a D times 1, so plus D, and a 2 times E, so plus 2E. So there you can see we are having our 4 equations. Once again, what is the next step? Try to remember that look which coefficient occurs the maximum number of times, take that to be 1. So we can see that A is occurring 1 and only 1 time. What about B? B occurs 1, 2, 3 times. C occurs 1, 2, 3 times. D occurs 1 and 2 times. And E is occurring 2 times. So who should we take as 1? Either B or C? So you can go either for B or for C. Anyone you can take as 1. Okay. Since I have got A equal to C over there, I am thinking maybe I'll take C as 1 so that the first equation A will also become 1. But you can take any one, doesn't matter. Don't think you'll get a different answer. Even if you took E as 1, but it's helpful to take the coefficient that occurs maximum number of times. So let's do that. So we are going to say, let's say C is 1. So therefore A will also be equal to 1 from the first equation. So we are taking C to be 1, right? So C is 1, A is 1. Now you guys solve the other ones. So what are the other equations we have? B equals 2C plus 2D. So we are getting an equation B equals 2 times C, so 2 times 1 plus 2D. This equation is B equal to E, and the other equation is 3B equals, so we are just substituting here, 4 times 1, 4 plus D plus 2E. So you can see things are getting a little interesting here because we don't know any of the values of B, E and D. So we have 3 unknowns, but we have 3 equations. So looks like we can solve it. So what we are going to do, we are going to use that B equal to E and substitute it here. So we can substitute B as E here and the B as E here, so that we can change the equations only into D and E so that we can get rid of the B. You guys agree? So what we're going to do, this one is going to become, so substituting B equal to E, we get E is 2 plus 2D, and this equation will become 3E is 4 plus D plus 2E. Can you guys see we are getting these two equations? They are only in D and E. Let's simplify them first. So these two equations, if we simplify, so we can say that we are finally getting here E equals 2 plus 2D and 3E minus E equals 4 plus D. You guys are getting this? So now we have got two equations where A equals 2 plus 2D and E equals 4 plus D. What are these known as? These are actually known as linear equations, a pair of linear equations in two variables, or ICSE students call them simultaneous equations. So you can solve it by elimination technique or whatever, but here it's very simple because both are equal to E, so we can simply equate the equations. So if since 2 plus 2D is E and 4 plus D is E, I can just equate it. So therefore I can say 2 plus 2D equals 4 plus D. So 2D minus D is going to be equal to 4 minus 2. So can you guys see? We have solved. So till now what we have solved? C is 1, A is 1 and D is 2. Done. Now go and substitute this D into the other things and you can solve it. So B is 2 plus 2D. So we are substituting it here. So now continuing this, B equals 2 plus 2D, which means B equals to 2 plus 2 times 2, 4. So B is 6. B is also done for us, and now we can, B is equal to E, so therefore E is also 6. So don't get worried when you see these equations, just try to eliminate one by one the variables and see that once you get two equations in two variables, you can use those methods. If you haven't learned those methods or if you have forgotten them, revise it. If you haven't learned, don't worry, you'll be learning them in class 9 of course. These are called pair of linear equations in two variables. And you solve them using substitution, elimination or whatever methods you're going to be learning. So that's it. So now you can see we have got all our coefficients A, B, C, D and E. Just substitute and make sure there are no fractions. Luckily this time there are no fractions. So we can directly write the answer. It's going to be A times sulfur. So A is 1 here. So it's straight away going to be sulfur plus BHNO3. Who's B over here? 6. So 6 times HNO3 is going to give me CH2SO4. What is the value of C here? 1. So it's simply going to be H2SO4 plus DH2O. D is 2 there. And finally we have plus E times NO2. E is 6 over here. So please check if you have got this answer. And again, I'm not sure if my answer is right or wrong. We are going to verify it. We can just check on the left and right. So sulfur is 1. Sulfur is 1. Done. Hydrogen 6, 2 plus 4 here, 6. Nitrogen 6, how many nitrogen here? 6. How many oxygen? 6 times 3, 18 on the left. How many on the right? 4 plus 2, which is 6, plus 12. So 12 plus 6, 18. Hooray, we are done. Our equation is balanced. So this is the ABCD method. All you have to do is just practice a bit of maths and do this carefully. Sometimes this looks complicated, but when you're solving it in rough, you can see the equation becomes very, very easy to balance. Now, many of the schools don't teach this secret ABCD method. So sometimes, your teacher may not be happy if you're showing this method. What you can do is just solve it in rough and then write your final answer or make the table if they wanted to solve by table method. So ABCD is like your, backup or your secret weapon. If you're not able to balance the equation, if you have been trying hit and trial, it's not working, don't waste another 5 minutes doing hit and trial. Use ABCD, you'll definitely get the answer. And then you can write your answer if they don't allow you to show the ABCD method. So don't display your secret weapon, just use it. And always make sure you check your balanced equations, right? So once you have balanced it, please make sure that number of atoms of all elements are balanced, so they are equal on left and right, and there should be no common multipliers. So if you have written things like, 4, 2, 4, you can clearly see the highest common factor of 4, 2 and 4 is 2. So the correct answer should be, you have over multiplied here. So this one definitely check. So it should be 2H2 plus O2 gives you 2H2O. Now you can see there is no common factor. So please make these important checks before finalizing or writing your answer, and you can easily verify if your balanced equation is really balanced or not. So the big question is, which method should you use? Should you use the table method, hit and trial, or ABCD method? My recommendation is, use the table method to understand balancing, to formally write the table and see if it's balanced or not. So that is for understanding balancing. But once you're comfortable with it, it is recommended to go for hit and trial. So try this first. If hit and trial is not working, you go for ABCD method, because this is your backup plan and it can solve even the toughest of balancing equation, because now you're no longer balancing, you're just solving some equations, you're just doing a bit of mathematics and taken the easiest coefficient as 1. Just be careful of the fractions. So this would be my recommendation. Table method is just for understanding, and it does make doing the hit and trial easy. So you can use hit and trial and make a table also, but this is what I would do. So keep practicing, and if you do patience and practice, it will be as easy as solving a difficult Rubik's cube. That also requires patience and practice. Same thing for balancing chemical equations. And please don't forget to balance your equations. If you write an unbalanced equation, our teacher used to give us 0, even if the equation was perfectly correct, because the balancing numbers need to be right. So I hope you enjoyed this class and learned the ABCD method, which is the secret weapon to balance chemical equations. And do check out the other courses on our website. We have physics, chemistry, biology and maths for CBSE class 8, 9 and 10. So guys, if you haven't taken the other subjects, do take them, and please do share it with your friends. For the ICSE students, we have physics, chemistry, biology and maths for classes 8, 9 and 10. Once again, do share our courses with your friends. And if you want to learn coding, we have Python programming, we have Java coding. Both are great languages to learn programming. And we also have physics and chemistry for the Cambridge IGCSE board. So do share out our courses with your friends. Make sure you have subscribed to our YouTube channel. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram. So stay connected with Manocha Academy and keep learning.